Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Pumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week, our Expo is asking you who you think should be doing the most amount of work to ensure that women are given tech skills. This as March is International Women's Month. Results of that Expo are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this particular episode. We look at the urban-rural divide in technology. We have details on smart cities. And in our conversation, we chat about how social media plays a role in technology and voting. In South Africa, there have been various conversations about smart cities to the point that President Cyril Ramaphosa has mentioned it in several states of the nation addresses, but they never come here at home. We're still waiting. But there are parts of the world that are doing the groundwork. We'll also go to the Middle East to find out about what's happening in the work of smart cities there.
In the 21st century, the concept of smart cities has evolved from futuristic vision to a tangible goal for urban planners and governments around the world. They utilize information and communications technologies to enhance the quality and performance of urban services such as energy, transportation, and utilities to reduce resource consumption, wastage, and overall costs.
Smart cities are so important now because the thing is with travel and tourism, we often think of people going to beautiful, in South Africa for example, going on a wonderful safari or enjoying the beaches, but actually there's massive amounts of footfall in cities. So smart cities are an incredibly useful way for people to have a really smooth, seamless digital experience, but also cut down on their carbon footprint as well.
Over the last decades, new master planned cities have emerged from the ground up at an unprecedented scale, the majority of which have been created in Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America.
You know, whenever you're introducing something completely new, it's going to be a case of testing and failing and testing and failing. But we're seeing here with NEOM is going to be an absolutely extraordinary digital experience. The thing about it is as well, it can be very, very sustainable. So that's absolutely critical. And South Africa, I understand, is also looking now at having some really, really digital experiences and whole cities that can be run digitally, which is incredible.
A distinct characteristic that unites this wave of new cities is their tendency to market themselves with their brand, identity, and vision, not so differently than a startup would pitch itself to investors.
It's eco-friendly district, and also the waste, the recyclable system, everything. So we're protecting the environment, and also we add the smart tech feature. So we have the HQ, our office building. It's awarded as the smartest building or the smart building in the world. So we have this feature, the face recognition, fingerprint recognition system.
However, the road to achieving smart city status is fraught with challenges, even as it brims with opportunities.
Well, actually, you know, governments have been battling with cybersecurity now for a long time, as have businesses. We've had, you know, cybersecurity. We all know when we get cloned or something happens. So this is really an extension of that. You could argue, actually, with some artificial intelligence and some blockchain, that it's actually harder. It's going to be harder. It's often when something is very, very new that people can get in. It's really, really important to protect our privacy. For all of us, data privacy is critically important. But it's also important to unlock and unleash the power, particularly for the younger generation that really, really love this stuff. Certainly my daughters never phone me anymore. I have to communicate with them on message.
With its country clubs and gated communities, Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah new smart city markets itself as the region's hub and city of choice for the young elite who seek to invest in new economy. Saudi Arabia says it is developing the technology sector as part of its Vision 2030 initiative.
Sustainability is at the core in the priorities in the kingdom, which to me personally is fascinating. When I came here, we have multiple initiatives. Every single giga project that has been developed and is from master plans to execution is considering sustainability at the core. Part of the Vision 2030, we have something that is called Saudi Green Initiative. Saudi Green Initiative is pretty much bringing all these sustainable initiatives to making sure that we protect nature, we engage with communities, and we have an agenda that is towards climate as well. So climate, nature, and communities are very important.
Along with 4 other economic cities, King Abdullah Economic City forms part of the Saudi Vision 2030, an economic strategy to shift away from the country's dependence on petroleum.
A lot of markets are part of the priority list. Of course, we have the 49 original countries included in the visa online that we launched back in 2019. But I would say every single person that would like to travel, experience new culture, can come to the kingdom. We have implemented some solutions that have been tested in other countries and implemented in other countries, such as, for instance, if you have a Schengen visa or a US visa, you can come to the country and get a visa on arrival. So in some cases, some markets are based in what they like.
While existing new cities highlight the importance of the private sector's role in mobilizing the necessary funding for tech investment, those in the industry say they raise concerns about the consequences of government's willingness to give corporations a leading role in their development.
South Africa is often referred to as the most unequal society in the world, and that also includes the country's digital divide, which has made sure that cities advance at a rate that leaves the rural areas very, very far behind.
The world of IT often seems like a distant reality, perceived as something meant for others. But for these women, it is a gateway to endless possibilities.
Bendingazi kwanto nge-IT kwaye bendingazi kwanto nge-laptop, bendingazi kwanto like ndiyibone nje i-laptop but ndingakwazi ukuyisebenzisa, ndingakwazi nokusebenzisa i-internet, ndingakwazi even ukusebenzisa i-email. Bendingazi kwanto edibenise ne-email. In fact bendiyazi ne-email but ndingayazi uba yinto esebenza njani. Ngoku inintsi into endiyifumeneyo. Ndifuna ukuthi enkosi kakhulu kunye namandla nakwiSisco because into ezinje ziphelela phaa ezidolophini azizi apha.
These women are among the 41 graduates from the Cisco Networking Academy, an initiative aimed at closing the digital divide in South Africa.
You know, we made a pledge to impact 1 billion lives through our Networking Academy and some of our social grant programs, and we announced this in 2016. We actually reached that goal in 2025, and we just pledged to do another 3 million technical resources trained on the continent of Africa in the next 10 years. So really fast tracking that. And if I look at that, you know, we have 2 different platforms, being our Networking Academy, where we go into alignment with organs of state, NGOs, etc., and create these networking academies to alleviate the skills. We also have a Skills for All platform, which is available online with the same content, but all of these classes are where you don't need instructors to train. So everything is online driven, pre-based curriculum, and anybody with access can really access this content. And this is really how we're driving all of this. But the difference we make is we train all of these individuals, and we also have a platform that interconnects into all of our partners, where we allow all of these people who's attended and certified to publish their CVs and accreditation, so we can actually get them absorbed into the marketplace.
We represent Linda Mahle Innovation Center. Esi certificate namhlanje graduation yethu esi certificate kum senza lo sithetha lukhulu ngoba sizanivulela iminyango yoba ukwazi uba ndiphuhlise ulwazi lwam nakwabanye abantu, ndibanikeze into endiyaziyo, and sizandincedisa nakwifemeli yam ukuba ndikwazi ukubasapota, sindinikeze imisebenzi, sinivulele iminyango evaliwe.
However, despite these positive strides, South Africa's unemployment rate remains stubbornly high, especially in rural areas like Mthatha in the Eastern Cape.
The number of South Africans who are in employment has increased from 8 million in 1994 to 16.7 million today. Over the last 2 years, the number of jobs being created has been increasing every quarter, and we now have more people in employment than before the pandemic. Yet, our unemployment rate is the highest it has ever been. Even as employment is growing, more people are entering the job market each year than jobs are being created.
In a country where access to technology can mean the difference between poverty and prosperity, initiatives like this are not just about education, they're about unlocking the potential of entire communities.
As South Africa is going to the poll, there is a worry that misinformation and disinformation is also likely going to happen on social media. Fact checkers have already started to do the work that calls even some political leaders out for that misinformation or disinformation.
African countries should embrace the advantages presented by digital and social media in enhancing the quality of the elections. That has been a key message as the Independent Electoral Commission and other electoral bodies from the continent are meeting. Several African countries will go to the polls this year, including South Africa, which is hosting the 3-day event. South African Deputy President Paul Mashadile officially opened the principles and guidelines for the use of digital and social media in Africa.
We have the election management bodies that are here, most of whom are having elections this year, counted more than 20. So it means it's a good platform, spending these 3 days sharing experiences on how we're going to socialize these principles and guidelines. All of you know that we are in a digital era now. So it's important that we capacitate and empower our EMBs as they manage this election.
A turning point for the African continent as it seeks to tap into the digital space and social media in ensuring that elections are peaceful, free, fair and credible. Countries such as South Africa, Ghana, Namibia, Botswana, Mozambique and others will go to the polls this year.
We said at that time we must confront the daunting challenge of disinformation and misinformation through digital and social media. Worldwide democratic reversals are necessary that can impact the electoral processes, democracy and development. This meant that we are committed to engage ourselves and engage digital and social media so that we can take advantages and maximize its many positive aspects.
The Independent Electoral Commission says they are fully aware that the digital space comes with challenges, but they are geared up to use it effectively.
As election management bodies, we've got to take advantage of the positive aspects of social media and ensure that we embrace them for voter education, we embrace them for engaging with the general voting public, but also deal with the negative effects. Unfortunately, when you deal with digital and social media, there are negative uses, which, if not addressed, can impair the credibility of the elections.
Delegates appealed to all political actors and their supporters to use social media responsibly and not to use it to sow divisions during the course of elections and beyond.
SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram, News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we continue that conversation. Now we broaden it to the rest of the African continent on what's happening with elections and social media. It's SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram, News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, there are at least 22 elections across the African continent in the year 2024. And we heard earlier that there have been various discussions here in South Africa. And these discussions are also taking place across the African continent as governments and electoral bodies are discussing how to caution people and what sort of legislation, if there need to be any legislation, and rules and regulations should there be around social media and usage of social media when it comes to elections. To talk to us further about this is Dr. Moringa Tigere Moringa, who is with the Durban University of Technology. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Dr. Tigere Moringa. Maybe if we can start by explaining if you think it's the way to go to caution the public on usage of social media when it comes to elections.
I think it's a good step to see how to deal with the issues of misinformation and disinformation, because we have realized that over the years issues of miscommunication and discommunication have increased, and they've been enhanced by social media. So I think the realization that, let's regulate this space and let's come up with self-regulatory mechanism, particularly coming from the arena of government. I think it's a positive step, because it reflects an increasing recognition of the influential role of digital platforms in the electoral process. So this move indicates a shift towards a more regulated and monitored digital electoral environment, and its aim is to enhance transparency and fairness in elections.
Dr. Moringa, much of this work is being done by electoral bodies from all over the African continent. How free do you think electoral bodies are in Africa?
The independence of electoral bodies is questionable, particularly in African governments. I mean, world over, you cannot boldly claim that electoral bodies are independent. Why? Because if you look at the commissioners of those bodies themselves, they are appointed by presidents. They are appointed by the ruling government. So in one way or the other, the independence of those electoral bodies are questionable, to begin with. So to trust them now with the regulation of that space of social media and the digital media during the election, is, we're taking a huge risk. But I'm going to emphasize that it's necessary. It's a positive step, but we cannot solely rely on these bodies for the regulation and and coming up with guidelines, because their independence is questionable. Look at Zimbabwe. This Zimbabwe Electoral Commission recently in 2023, they manipulated, this arguably, manipulated the electoral outcome and system and the social media. You also look in the same country, the stifling of the closing of the internet and stuff like that. So now you are putting trust in a government or in an electoral body that operates like that. Look into Zambia, network has been shut down. Look into Malawi, network was shut down. DRC, network was shut down. During all these things were happening during the election period. And the electoral bodies were also in cahoots, and they were identified to be playing to that tune as well, with the government. They take instruction from the government at the end of the day.
The South African government has mentioned that they are, rather the government and the Independent Electoral Commission have said that they're working with organizations like Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, as well as TikTok. Do you think these companies should be involved in elections, and what sort of work can be done by tech companies when it comes to working around issues of elections?
So Meta, TikTok, and the likes, I think they actually occupy a very critical and huge and significant space in ensuring that these guidelines and the social media and digital space are utilized in a proper and equitable manner that doesn't seek to stifle the electoral freedom and freedom of expression. Why I'm saying that? Because the issues of verification, the issues of fact checking, and the issues of retracting information when it is reported, I think that's where these platforms, the owners of this platform comes into play. When a red flag is raised concerning particular information on social media, we need to expect Meta and Instagram and TikTok to retract and to remove that information as soon as possible before it is circulated as misinformation and disinformation. So that's the role they play. I think more and more emphasis on fact checking needs to be done. I don't know if there is any, I'm not sure of any, that they need to have built-in structures. They need to have built-in mechanisms that can verify information, that when you post information, the algorithms or the mechanism can actually do the fact checking before that they post that information is allowed to go into the public.
All right, Dr. Tikere Moringa, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Now, Dr. Tikere Moringa there is with the Durban University of Technology. SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email.
Tuning in to the Lotto, Lotto Plus 1 and Lotto Plus 2 draw show has become the new Saturday evening normal. Join us at 8:57 p.m. on SABC 2 or SABC News on Channel 404.
SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. News network at sabc.co.za. On email, welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the technology space.
Visitors at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona were able to see latest wearable devices such as Motorola's bendable smartphone and Samsung's smart ring. Motorola showcased a bendable smartphone that can be placed on people's wrists as a bracelet, keeping all phone options active, and the phone can also be bent and adjusted into a self-standing position.
So this looks like an ordinary smartphone from the outside look of it, but you can if your hands are full, usually when you go for shopping, for example, you are trying to look at your shopping cart list and then you are trying to grab stuff from the store and then put it in your shopping cart, and you are fumbling with the device and you may drop it. But what you can do with this device is you can simply take this device and you can wear it over your wrist, and this would be like your hands will be free at that point.
Technology and telecom companies launched new products and concepts at the annual Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, hoping the buzz around AI will boost business prospects. Many experts say technology can raise legal and ethical concerns. Still at the Mobile World Congress, cutting-edge health technology was on display at the fair in Barcelona last week. Health tech using artificial intelligence was particularly prevalent, including a high-precision surgical robot that applies sensory feedback to the surgeon during critical moments of surgery.
Now we are talking about robotic surgery, but the next future is the digital surgery, and in this new space is where we're going to put together the robotics and artificial intelligence tools and diagnostic image. So with the artificial intelligence tools, we could provide additional functions to the surgeon to improve the safety of the surgical procedures and improve the precision.
While many experts say AI technology can raise legal and ethical concerns, proponents say applications in sectors such as healthcare can improve medical capacities and offer advantages to staff and patients. Now in the USA, Bitcoin was perched at a 2-year peak last week, breaking above $68,600 and stalking the all-time high as money keeps rushing into the largest cryptocurrency by market value. Bitcoin has gained 50% this year, and most of the rise has come in the last few weeks when inflows into US-listed Bitcoin's funds have surged. Smaller rival Ether has hitched a ride on speculation that it too may soon have exchange trade funds, driving inflows, and is up over 50% for the year and was last at $3,649.
March 8th was International Women's Day, and the whole month of March is International Women's Month. This week, Expo is asking you who you think should be doing the most amount of work in ensuring that the gender gap is closed when it comes to tech skills. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. It's newsnetwork@sabc.co.za on email. From Ms. Pumela Lezondi and the rest of the network team, bye-bye. Have a good one.